Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the interview series where I interview various collectors and people that are creators. In this case, I'm interviewing a collector that I connected with through Instagram. And just in before doing this interview, I learned a little bit more about this collector. He's got an amazing collection. I'll put his link in to his Instagram account in the description. He's an amazing collection. But I learned that he works at a comic shop, so he's maybe got some access there. He's got some pretty amazing original art and just an amazing, awesome collection. So I was like, very excited to interview this gentleman. His name is John Carter, or Johnny2chips is his nickname. So we'll learn more about him as I bring him forward. Let's get him on here. One sec here. So yeah, that's my rather awkward introduction.
That's okay.
So yeah, so thanks for being willing to do this interview. We were talking for a while actually on Instagram, and
right.
I think I made an appeal to everybody to if they wanted to come on the channel, that they could, and you took me up on that offer, so that's good. So
yeah, well, I'm glad to be here. I've been watching your show for quite a while, and I enjoy all the stuff you put out. And
okay, well that's
I
good.
mean, I'm not the content creator you are, but I'm pretty interested in YouTube channels and comics and everything. So
And you have your own channel. Is it Johnny2chips for
yeah,
your
Johnny Two
YouTube?
Chip Comics. It's on YouTube as well.
Okay, I'll link to that as well. You never know. You'll probably get a few subs out of it.
Hopefully, less than 100.
So yeah, well maybe we'll get you above 100. That can be a goal.
Cool.
How did you get started into collecting? You said you've been collecting for about 40 years when we were talking before. So
Right. Well, I grew up watching Super Friends in the 70s.
okay, that's so funny. I think you're not the first one that said that. I watched
Really?
Super Friends, and a few other people. That's their origin story as well.
Yeah, yeah. I watched Super Friends all through till the 80s. I watched the Adam West Batman show.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it was in syndication when I was a kid, along with the George Reeves Superman show. They were back to back on a local Dallas station
Mm-hmm.
in the afternoon after I got out of school. So I'd watch that. Uh, so it just kind of really turned me on to the superhero genre. I'm also a huge Star Wars person. I was right at that age when the original trilogy came out, so I'm a pretty
Mm-hmm.
big Star Wars fan too.
Yeah, me too. I was right at that perfect age to really get into it. Yeah, I noticed. Well, if you turn your camera slightly, just for the audience, just because you mentioned Star Wars,
I have my Boba
uh,
Fett.
yes, Boba Fett. So yeah,
It's
so
it's signed by Jeremy Bullock too.
oh, that's cool.
It's signed right up here on the. Although
Oh,
there's a
that's
little bit
very
of glare to it.
yeah, yeah, but it's really cool. And is that an original from the era, or is that like
No, it's a standee from probably like the late '90s or so.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. So, do you have any horror stories like of where you had to sell your whole entire collection, or your mom threw it away, or nothing? Anything?
No, I don't have any really regrets as far as my collecting goes. I have gotten rid of some of my collection over the years, but it's mostly just the common stuff,
Weed out the
garage
junk.
sales or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So,
my parents were supportive. They never tried to get rid of my stuff, so it was.
well, that's good. That's good. Actually, my parents were the same way, but we just didn't really keep care of. It was us that was the problem. Like the kids, we would torture our comics. Like they were just all abused. So
I
yeah.
just didn't like it when they called it funny books. I don't like when they call them funny.
Funny books. Yeah, that's that's a term that was a recent term for me to hear.
Mhm.
Like since started watching YouTube, I heard people referring it to as funny books. I was
Yeah,
just referred to them as comics, so I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just an older term or something. Maybe
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's weird. So, so obviously you collected mainly the DC books, or
DC
did you?
mostly. Actually, my first title that I ever collected was a Marvel book, but it was Indiana Jones: The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones
That's weird.
from the early '80s, and that's kind of the first series I started reading.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends that had comics. They had like Archie and Richie Rich
Okay.
and Star Wars, the original Marvel series. I read some of those when I was over at their house, but I liked the Indiana Jones stuff, so I started collecting the Further Adventures. And I probably never had a full run. That time I had limited funds and limited means to find all the issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of stopped for a while. This was probably like '82 or so. And then around '85, I had a new stepbrother who was really into comics, and he kind of
Mm-hmm.
got me back into it. And I started collecting Firestorm because I
Okay.
could find all the issues at our comic store at that time. So I'll collect that, and I collected V. Remember that TV show V?
Yeah, I liked V. I really liked
Mhm.
that show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
they
like an
always
18 issue,
ripped their face off.
right? There's like an 18 issue series, and that was one of the first series that I collected too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then Crisis on Infinite Earth started happening, and imagine trying to read that when you haven't really read much comics.
I know
And
there's like so much like, oh, by the way, this character from blah blah blah, and this over here, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
so I was learning a whole bunch at that time, and then uh, I started off thinking, well, I'll never have all the Batman comics, but I'll start collecting them anyways. So
Mm-hmm.
I started collecting new issues of Batman right before issue 400. I mean, it was like
Oh,
three
okay.
390 something, and I was able to get quite a bit far back, not on all the way to till the Silver Age, probably most of the Bronze Age stuff, but
Okay. I think issue 400, that's like Man Bat and Ra's al Ghul kind of era.
no, issue 400. Actually, I have it right here in front of me. This is let's see, it's the Bill Sienkiewicz cover. There we go.
Make it a bit bigger, just so you can see.
It's the 400 anniversary issue. Has all the artists, that contributed to that. And here's kind of the blank version or the non.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I've got one of those clear boards on here too, which is pretty
I
cool.
like those clear boards, they're useful.
Yeah, and this one was kind of special because I have 7 different people sign this: Bernie Wrightson, Steve
Oh, wow.
Rude, George Perez, who else? Art Adams.
Wow.
Uh, who else? Oh yeah, Mike Grell. Yeah, so and Brian Boland. So I have lots of signatures on them.
Wow. Lots of. So, did you get these personally signed by them, or?
Yeah, at conventions and stuff. Over the years, I just gotten different people to sign it.
Oh, that's very cool.
Uh, so yeah, it's kind of a special book for me right now.
Yeah, yeah. So you might as well show some of your other stuff that you brought, since.
Okay, might as well. I started. Let's see. Um, I'll start off with a few other books that I started collecting when they were brand new. Uh, this the Wally West
Oh,
Flash
yes.
series, uh, newsstand too,
Oh, nice.
and also,
So, did you buy that right off the newsstand?
yep. Uh,
I figured.
I lived in Tennessee for a while, and there was a
Is that double signed?
yeah,
Looks.
signed by Jim Date Matias and Kevin McGuire.
Okay.
The top, see, let's see, there we go.
And that's the first. What's his name? Lord something Lord Max Lord.
Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, I was getting it. It's there.
So yeah, this was my Justice League, and so it was kind of cool to get those signed eventually. And yeah, it's kind of that big era for DC in the mid '80s after post Crisis.
Hmm.
Things kind of blew up with Dark Knight Returns,
Yeah,
Watch,
it's true.
the George Perez Wonder Woman, the George Byrne, John Byrne Superman, not George Burns.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, those were kind of my reads at that time, and they'll always be kind of a special place in my collection.
So do you find like I noticed like you have a lot of signed books. Do you gravitate towards getting books signed or?
Not particularly. I mean, I used to be, you know, big on getting stuff signed when I go to conventions. Now I'm kind of like, well, do I really want everything signed? And I wasn't one of those collectors. You see some people with like a suitcase or a short box, and they sit on their, the artist desk, or and like, really, I only do like,
Those people drive me nuts. I've seen people with the little wagons, like where they.
right.
It's like okay, that's a bit
So I
much.
just pick out a few special books, and um, in fact, well, this one wasn't one that I had personally signed, but I'll go ahead and show this one.
Sure.
Since I'm a big Star Wars fan, this is
Oh, nice. And a
the
9.8
first,
too. That's really good.
the 9/8. It's the first Ahsoka Tano in comics. It's signed by both Ashley Eckstein and Matt Latner, who played Anakin on the Clone Wars series.
Oh, nice.
So I sent this in to CGC. They did a private in-house signing.
Wow.
So yeah, but this
Yeah, that's
one's
a good one. That's a
I
good one.
thought that was pretty good. Let's see. This one, gosh, this one has a interesting story. It's kind of unique. Um, it wasn't supposed to be signed. I'll put it out this way. I went to a show that had a CGC facilitator, not the actual company, and it got put in the wrong stack. And
They signed it.
a, a famous a famous Batman artist did sign it, but it wasn't his book.
Oh, oh, wow. So you got, like, and it
Can
looks
you
like they did a remark too.
They did a remark. That's the story behind it. It did not have the remark when I got it back. I was like, why is this signed by Neil Adams? And
Wow.
I was like, okay. And so I'd only put enough insurance to cover what I thought it was worth, and it was actually worth like double.
Now, yeah, with the sign, yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do? So I called the facilitator. We kind of worked out a deal, and he said, listen, I can either give you a lower grade copy, or I can have maybe Neil put a remark or something on here. So I'll kind of bring it closer. It kind
Yeah.
of ties it in with it.
Well, he put it in a good spot too.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wanted him to do it. I wanted to do like it kind of looks like his suit there with the
Yeah,
icicles.
with the icicle, yeah.
So I thought that was cool. So it's a very unique book. It's I think it's only one of two that are signed. I don't know who the other person signed, but
Yeah, I don't imagine there'd be many Neil Adams signing of that book. Like, I don't know why you'd sign. That's really funny. That's
yeah.
really cool, though. I mean, that's a good one to,
hmm So yeah, this is definitely one of my unique books. Let's
and for those people watching, that's the first Mr. Zero.
see, Mr. Sear, Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's
Come
funny
on.
that he was Mr. Zero and then they made him Mr. Freeze later. So, yeah.
Like, as Mr. Zero kind of makes him sound like a loser. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I know. I think they should have. The funny thing is, they actually, in DC, actually had a character called Mr. Freeze earlier than that book.
Uh huh.
And I don't know why they just didn't carry that character over. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but
Okay. All right. My next book. This is one of my big books that when I started collecting the bigger books in the early 2000s. It's worth a little bit more now, but it's got the old CGC label.
okay.
So
What's the grade? I can't see the grade. So,
it's a 4.5.
oh, nice. That's a solid grade for that book.
Yeah, yeah.
For some reason, that book is usually beat up. Like it just.
Yeah, well, it's got some wear to the spine. It's got a little bit of tanning.
But yeah,
Uh,
but a 4.5. No, that's solid. Mine's like a 1.8, so I can't. You're like way better than me. So
well, Yeah, I mean, I paid probably around 1,000 for it.
Oh wow. I think I
So
paid more for my 1/8.
yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Let's see. This one is ungraded, but it's got this cool case. This was probably one of my first big Batman books. I don't have it graded because it's signed by Neil Adams in the inside, along with Dick Giordano and Julia Schwartz.
Okay. Oh, nice. As I mentioned Ra's al Ghul earlier. See,
Yeah,
what issue of Batman is that again? It's
232.
232. Oh, okay.
First Ra's al Ghul. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I bought this uh, in 1991 at Dragon Con. Uh,
Okay.
it was a third Dragon Con. It wasn't as big a show, but Dick Giordano and Julia Schwartz were there when I bought it. I bought this for $20.
Oh, not bad.
20 bucks,
That's
and
awesome.
that was pretty, expensive for that time, I guess, for me. And so yeah, and I remember going to their booth with the DC booth, and Dick looked at Julia and said, when we signed this, man, those were the days. It was really
Mhm.
kind of a cool story to hear them talk to each other about something that happened 20 years prior at that time.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool when you hear it from the creators, right?
Yeah, yeah, and let's see, I met Frank Miller at that show, and Dave Stevens.
Oh
So,
wow. I would have thought he would be a like I'm a big fan of Dave Stevens.
are you? Yeah, he
Yeah.
signed my first appearance to Rocketeer, so that was pretty
Oh
cool.
wow, that's really cool.
Uh, Going back to other DC.
Oh nice.
Flash 105, first. Technically, it's Flash number one, I guess,
Yeah. It's
for
the
Larry Allen.
newest series, yeah.
I don't have any of the showcase issues, unfortunately. That's my biggest regret, not getting the showcase issues when I was starting out.
So that's
So
also the first Mirror Master too, which
first
is
Mirror Master, yeah, got that one. Uh,
that early Silver Age Flash is pretty awesome. It's a pretty good read.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I like the number, what, 14, where he's going through the hourglass.
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. That's the Showcase 14. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. And then this is probably one of my favorite Batman covers of all. Uh, I mean, I'll just show it.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's a classic cover.
It's the classic Neil Adams cover. Some people will argue the Batman 227, but that was just kind of an homage, cover. I think it's great, but this one's original and it's one of my
Hmm.
favorite. I've got an undercopy that's got the Mark Jewelers insert in it too.
Oh really? Wow,
Yeah,
that must be pretty rare.
yeah, those are pretty hard to find, and I didn't heard people talking about Mark Jewelers, so I started looking through my comics, and
And then you found a few?
I found it in my Batman 251. I was like, what?
That's awesome. That's a good book to find it in. So probably your undercopy might be worth more than your higher grade.
I don't know. It's probably like a 6.65, I would
It's
imagine.
crazy how much those Mark Jewelers go for, though. It's really
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, I might get it graded one of these days. I haven't decided yet. I always
Hmm.
kind of like having a copy to look through or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But I know they have facsimiles now, so it doesn't really
Doesn't
matter as
really
much.
matter too much, but yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Here's another. I'm a big Green Lantern collector.
Okay.
Let's see.
Is that the first crossover between the two?
Yes, the first crossover, issue 40. This is a 9.2. Yeah, I've got all the showcase issues, and I've got 1 through 60 or 61,
Okay.
and I've got like issues 20 through 60, all on about 9092 condition.
Really high grades. Yeah, nice.
Hmm. Uh, Here's another new
Another big one.
another big one. First Batgirl or Barbara Gordon Batgirl.
So that and the Poison Ivy one, like I like because they showcase the character, like really showcase it, like the front
Yeah.
and center, and
Uh-huh. Yeah. I had this one. I bought it at on Comic Link, and it was an 8.0, and I had it pressed and regraded from at CGC and came back.
that's a huge grade bump.
It
Yeah.
was. It really. It looks like I could get a 9.2.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, the grader's note said there was a crease somewhere, and I can't even find it.
Hmm. Wow.
Let's see. Go back. Now, you say I'm mostly a DC collector, but I do have a Marvel book or two. I think I only have one in my stack here, but this is a big one.
Oh yeah, it's a good one to have.
Yeah, and this one's kind of a regret in a way.
Why?
Uh, I bought it at the height of the
Oh
COVID
no.
stuff. I bought this one for about twice as what it's worth
What
now.
it's going now? Yeah, it's so sad.
So I'm going to be holding on to this one for quite a while. I
I
mean,
have a few books that are like that where I'm like, okay,
I
10 years
love
from now maybe it'll be back to normal.
I love Silver Surfer, so I had to go for this.
Yeah, that's a good book. Yeah.
So, yeah,
I consider that to be the first Galactus too, so
yeah. I mean,
he's
even
on
though it's
like
young,
multiple
yeah,
pages, so yeah.
yeah. And this one was a pretty good buy. I bought this one raw and had it graded.
Oh nice.
Uh, First JSA crossover, and so yeah,
That's an under the radar book for like most people don't realize the significance of that book.
I
It's
know.
really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and I always liked the cover too.
Hmm.
Have you ever read any of the old Justice League books or the JLA JSA crossovers?
No, actually.
They're
Uh I've read like, like All Stars, but yeah.
they are a little hokey, but they're fun to read.
Okay.
That DC Silver Age stuff is a little bit different from Marvel. I'm starting to read Marvel now. I'm trying to go back and read the original Spider-Man and
Yeah, it's a good series.
Avengers, and I love the Fantastic Four, the Kirby Lee Fantastic
Me
Four.
too. Me too.
It's a fun read. Okay, let's go back to Batman.
Oh wow. That was
Here's one.
actually one of the books that I had on my spec list. Like I said, oh, this is a book that people should buy. It's the first Joker cover in the Batman title.
Yeah, yeah, it is. This I bought this one on Comic Link years ago. It was an auction, I think, and I had it graded and came back the same grade they thought it was. So I was happy with
That's
that.
that's a good sign.
Yeah,
So yeah, but that book has gone pretty up a lot recently.
it has. I think this one's probably worth around 9,000 now, something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can make a killing on that, but
Mm.
it's gonna wait. It's gonna wait. Okay, let's go back to Justice League for a minute.
Okay, that's the
This
first Hearts
Royal Flush Gang.
Royal Flush Gang. I knew it was like some like card related. Yeah.
Yeah, with the spade on the front. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the club. I mean,
Club, yeah.
yeah, this is a really difficult grade to get. I got a 9.6. That's probably one of my highest grade Silver Age books
Wow.
because I don't have any 9.8s in Silver Age. I don't think, but
I have a raw copy of that book, but it's
and
not nearly a 9.6.
the reason I got this one, and I was exposed to the Royal Flush Gang. It's one of the first foes in that Justice League that I showed you earlier. The
Hmm.
from the 80s, the JLI. Uh, they're one of the first teams they kind of went up against. So I kind of had a fascination with them.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Uh, Here's
Oh, that's
another.
a good one.
Yeah,
And what pedigree is that?
it's Crowley.
Oh, okay.
It's the Crowley pedigree. Yeah, I had this one reslabbed. It had the old label on it. It had one with the really small text and stuff.
Okay. But
And
I think it's good to have that gold label. I think that's really cool
yeah,
for the pedigree books.
I have a bunch of pedigrees. I haven't decided which ones I'm gonna send in to get the gold label, but
Mm.
trying to remember where I got this one. I don't know if I got this one on eBay or it might have been Comic Link too. But yeah, I
Do
love
you
all
ever
these.
use Heritage or?
I do not. I really haven't tried Heritage. I'm always afraid of the buyer's premium, but I kind of have to
Well,
get over that.
you
I
just
guess
you got to think 20%, whatever the number is.
exactly. So I have not really done that. Let's see. I'll go with this
Oh, that's a great book.
one. Yeah.
That's my favorite Bronze Age cover, I would
Is
say.
it? Okay. Yeah. The ink wash cover, the Bernie Wrightson. You probably can't read it on camera, but this one says Lin Wein written on first page in pen. So it's
Oh, it's
probably
a signed copy too,
it's a signed copy, but blue
without
label.
the green label at least.
Yeah, at least it's not the green one. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah. So yeah, I got this one not too long ago, probably a year or two, but
that's
it's
really nice.
wonderful. Yeah.
I think that's one of the few books that really hasn't lost its value since the boom.
No, I don't think so. I think it's been steady. I
Yeah,
watch it pretty regularly.
yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, let's kind of continue on the magical or the
Oh, okay, yeah, and an
first
8.5. Wow.
first Satana, and
Actually, I like the cover of it. I just wish she was on the cover of it.
exactly, or at least had a little corner with her face on it or
Yeah,
something.
like introducing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a backup story she's in this one. Um, yeah, I got this one on Comic Link uh, for under $300.
Oh wow. Now
Yeah.
that book, yeah, it went to insane levels during the comic boom, and then it still would
Hmm.
be more than $300. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like more than 1,000.
Yeah, probably. I think probably like three or probably around 3,000. But yeah,
Yeah.
2 to 3,000, I would say. Yeah.
Here's another recent book that I've been hunting this book for a long time, and I finally found the right copy. Uh,
Oh, nice.
it's a 6.5 First Doom Patrol. I love the show on HBO Max,
Yeah, it was fun.
and so yeah, I've got uh, affiliation with them too. I read the who who did the series, the Vertigo series in the 80s or 90s.
Oh, Grant Morrison? No.
Grant Morrison. Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have known that. I
Yeah,
just had
yeah.
a little brain fart, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I do that all the time. I always forget the things, and it's like I recently did a thing where I forgot Jerry Siegel, like the creator
Creator
of Superman.
Superman.
Yeah,
Uh,
Superman. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm such an idiot. Okay.
but Grant, actually met Grant twice at San Diego. I went to San Diego Comic Con in the early 2000s,
Hmm.
and he signed my Animal Man #1. He signed the Doom Patrol first issue Doom Patrol he did, and
Okay.
he signed my Arkham Asylum hardcover, which
Oh,
is
nice. That Animal Man is way underrated.
yeah. I've got his first appearance, but it's kind of low grade. I haven't gotten it graded yet,
Hmm.
but I do have that one too. Uh, Here's another first appearance. I had this one graded not that long ago.
Oh, nice.
Sorry about the glare.
Yeah, it's the slabs. It's a little harder.
Yeah.
I heard that they're gonna do something with Deadman. I
Deadman.
really That's a really interesting story, by the way. I read that just a few months ago.
Uh huh.
Yeah, like he's a bit of a jerk, but he's like a good guy. But I mean, in terms of like before he becomes Deadman, he's a good guy, but bit of a jerk, I think. And then
Have
bit of a loner. You know what I mean? Like
uh huh. Have you read any of the original Deadman stuff?
just that one, and I think the next issue as well
Okay.
with him.
There, there's like a Neil Adams trade with all the Deadman stories in it, and it's pretty interesting read. It's
Yeah, no,
probably
I like Deadman actually. I thought it was pretty cool.
and I read like the Kelly Jones series from the '90s and stuff. That was pretty
Hmm.
good. All right, this kind of brings it to my last two books. These are probably my two biggest books in the collection, I'd say.
Okay.
Uh, so I'll go with number two first.
Okay. You mentioned that you had like all the showcase
Yes,
for Green
I
Lantern,
did.
so I figured this one was coming up.
It had to come up, yeah.
That's a really nice one. And a good grade too, like 5.0.
Yeah,
Geez, that's a that's a pricey book.
yeah.
Did you
Just
buy it when it was pricey or did you buy it when it was a little bit
no.
more affordable?
I bought it raw on
Okay.
eBay. It was an auction.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, take a guess how much it cost.
Like 2, 3 thousand?
Nope,
Oh wow. So you got it way cheaper? Like a
way
few
cheap.
hundred? Was it in the hundreds or thousands or
It was just under 1,000. It was like 900 and something, 900 and change.
wow. Wow, you did well. You did really well.
Yeah, probably 2004, 2005 is when I bought it.
Okay. Different times, different times. That
Definitely
was
different.
actually like during that's another period where the comic market was really dead during the
Yeah,
early 2000s.
yeah. I picked up a lot of good Silver Age books back then.
That's a nice
Um,
one.
I the past couple of years, I've completed. I have on my runs of books. Batman is one of my favorites. So I finished one issue 100 all the way up to 713, which was the first volume,
Oh, nice.
and I have pretty much all of them in. I say 5.0 or better. Most of them.
Okay.
There's a couple stinkers, but uh,
Hmm.
most of them are in that condition. So that's probably one of my biggest achievement as far as collecting goes.
Mm, that's a
Uh,
pretty impressive achievement, actually.
yeah, and the detective, I'm not quite as big. I'm down to like issue 310, 310 to,
Okay.
till now. It's a lot big run too, but I kind of want
Hmm.
to get down to the 200s somewhere.
Okay, so you gradually work down your.
Work my way down.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I was going to show my biggest book. I bought this on Metropolis Comics.
Okay.
I bought it raw, and I paid a lot less than it's worth now. Let's put it this way.
Oh, wow. That's on my want list.
On your want
Like,
list,
yeah, I've
I
been.
figured it could be.
Yeah, I always thought the Red Hood was a interesting idea, and then first origin of the Joker is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Have you heard of that dealer who Red Hood Comics from? I think it's out in Nevada or somewhere. He has like an 8.0 and a 7.5, and he recently bought the original cover for this.
Oh wow.
He's got the original cover, and I'm like, oh my
Is
god,
that like $1 million cover?
at least I would
Yeah, yeah.
say, you know. And he's got like Jack Nicholson's outfit from the Batman '89
Wow.
movie and things like that. And I was like, good Lord,
Okay, so that's a different level.
that
That's
is a different level,
wow.
far above mine, a bigger fish.
So yeah. So yeah, no, but that's a pretty impressive book. If I was going to go for that book, I'd probably get it in like a 2.0 kind of level. Like, like, that's more like in my price range. So
Uh-huh.
seeing it as 6.5 is pretty impressive. That's
Yeah. Uh, I couldn't afford it now if I had to replace it.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot. Yeah, you seem to have picked a lot of the books up at the right time.
A lot
Like
of them, yeah, not everything. There are some regrets, especially Batman Golden Age stuff that I wish I'd bought
picked
back.
up when it, yeah, and when it was cheap. Yeah, or
Yeah,
cheaper.
cheaper. I mean,
It was
even
never cheap. But it was cheaper.
yeah, I kind of wanted to get a Batman #1, but I never bit the bullet and bought one.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
even a .5 is worth 40, 50,000 at least.
something like that. Yeah, maybe more, maybe closer to 100 even.
Yeah,
That's why I always recommend people buy restored books. You can get some real
I would.
deals.
I'd buy a restored one of those too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
then who cares? It's a little bit of color touch. It looks better than point 0.5, which is missing like half the book or something crazy.
Yeah. 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 Those have been some of my other. You asked about regrets earlier.
Hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're really regrets, but I had one time submitted two books to CGC, and they
Hmm.
both came back restored, and
Oh,
both of them were key books. I had a first appearance of Batmite. Uh,
oh, that's a very cool book.
Came back 7.5, but it had a top edge was trimmed.
Trimmed.
And then the other one was Green Lantern #7, the first Sinestro.
Hmm.
It had color touch on it, but I can probably get that one
Removed.
removed. At least hope they don't cut a little hole in the spine or
Yeah, well,
whatever.
that's how they often remove it, right?
Hmm. So I'm afraid to do that.
So to me, like I don't mind the purple label slab. If it presents well, the book, I don't really care. I know I'll buy it restored anyways, so I know what I'm into. What I'm getting into. So,
Uh-huh.
but did you do any restoration yourself to these books, or
No, uh-uh.
it was just
No,
like yeah,
I I bought the Green Lantern on eBay. Um, I bought the first Batmite at a show in Dallas one year, and I remember buying that book. I was so excited. Finally found a decent copy, and
hmm.
it came back restored. I mean, I bought one copy off of eBay and had a coupon cut out, and I sent it back. And uh,
That's frustrating.
but the thing is, the one good thing is, I went after I got this one back. I went and bought a 6.5 copy off of eBay at one point, so at
Oh,
least
that's not too
have
bad.
you know a decent one.
Hmm. So, what books are you chasing after now? What are you buying now? Like, what kind of books are you?
Right now, I'm kind of saving my money a little bit. I'm buying some filler stuff. I'm trying to complete uh, my New Gods from Kirby. I've
Hmm.
only got two issues left, and they're
Okay.
like issue 8 and 10, I think, and they're nothing huge. So I've
Yeah.
got most of those.
Are you buying them above a certain grade, or like a
I'm
9.0 kind of level or higher?
at
Or
least 8 or 9, just well presenting copies. They don't have to be super high grade.
Mhm.
I'm not one that chases the 9.6, 9.8. I just
Okay.
want something that looks really nice and
Yeah.
what I
I
can
mean, to
afford.
me, a 9.4 often looks just as good as a 9.8.
Exactly.
So, and why pay four times the price for a 9.8?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I've never been one to chase a 9.8. If I get a 9.8 on a submission, that's great. You know, if not, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So okay. So New Gods. What would be your Grail book that you're chasing?
Uh, some golden age Batman that I don't have yet. I mean, I'm going for like the villain covers, Two
Okay.
Face, uh, Catwoman, Joker, maybe
Penguin.
Penguin a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm not as big a Penguin fan for some reason. I just never.
I liked him in the see. I liked his gadgety things in the Batman series,
Yeah.
the 67 series. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Um. So yeah, I always thought he was cool. I liked the Joker a lot. I
Yeah.
like the Joker, the Riddler. Yeah, I really like that series. Had a lot of influence on me because I watched it when I was a kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah. I'm
yes.
I'm I'm also chasing pre issue 100 detective books.
Okay.
And I know there's a few that are out of my price range other than the 27 and 31. Uh, like the 69 cover, the one with the Joker with the guns,
Yeah, yeah.
the one I'm talking about.
Yep.
That one's really gotten expensive, even in like a 1.0 or 2.0. It's pretty up there.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to get some of those ones. In like any grade. Yeah. Yeah, I think right now the golden age is a bit pricey. It's
Oh
sort
yeah,
of people sort of switch their money from the more silver age and modern books to the golden age as a safer place to put their money.
especially pre-code horror and stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing the market softening a bit on
Are
the
you?
pre-code horror. Yeah, just a little bit. I think people kind of, it's, there's always these bubbles that pop every so often, you know what I mean, where people kind of overdo it and then they realize, oh, maybe it wasn't worth that much. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was very interesting. So yeah, where can people find you, and maybe tell about your comic shop maybe that you work at.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm Johnny2chips on Instagram. That's where I post a lot of my collection and
Hmm.
things like that. I've been working at a comic shop in Waco. It's called Bankston's Comics and Cards. They've been around since 1985, so they're coming up on their
Nice.
40th anniversary. And I've been there about 8 years, and I'm the comic manager there. I've learned a whole bunch about the industry from being that side of the
Hmm.
counter.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's been great, and I hope uh, I'm there for a few more years at least. And
Hmm. Well, you're
we're
living
having
the dream. Like so many comic people. Oh, I'd love to be, in the comic shop, working at a comic shop. So, yeah.
yeah, it has its good points, it has its bad points. I mean,
Hmm.
we do have those customers that come in, and I don't know. I'm not going to give too much away about that. But I do have I met lots of friends through the store, and
Yeah, I
it's
can imagine.
great. There's kind of a community with them, and it's really great to meet like-minded people, and
Hmm. And do you ever get the situation where you get to see collections come in and maybe get a couple picks out of them, or?
yeah. I actually got my Swamp Thing #1 came in, and it was the only book he sold us, but I was like, I had my eye on it for a while. I let it sit on the wall for a little bit before
Hmm.
I pounced on it, but it I had it graded, came back a 9.4, so I
Oh
was happy
wow, that's
I was
nice.
happy with that one.
That's very
Uh,
nice.
Most of the time, it's stuff that I'm not interested in, so it doesn't bother me
Mm.
as much. I don't see any Silver Age Batman or Bronze Age Batman
Yeah.
come in.
Well,
So
usually when I see collections come into comic shops, it's like 90s like junk.
yes, exactly that. And we also have a sports card section, so we
Okay.
get lots of people bringing sports cards from the 90s, and it's the same kind of thing.
Mass produced.
Mass
Yeah.
produced stuff. Yeah.
It's interesting. Well, all the links to your Instagram and YouTube will be in the description. And
Okay.
thanks for coming on the show. I mean, it was fun. It was fun interviewing you. I hope
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
had fun too.
Yeah. Well, we can do it again if you like.
Yeah, anytime. And maybe you can, like, just so people know, you have like a pretty impressive original art collection.
Yeah, it's not
So maybe
as
we can,
expensive, not as
yeah,
expensive, but
but you have enough. I mean, you have like some pretty cool things. Like
I do.
even like right above him, like you can see the little that's a art cell from
Yeah.
uh oh, what's it called?
Batman
Now I'm
Mask of
blanking.
Phantasm.
Mask of the Phantasm. I actually have that comic. Just
Yeah,
I just couldn't remember. I don't know why. See, we both do it. Okay, so thanks again for coming on the show.
I appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.